Oh, he's angry.
God, he's angry.
He's so angry.
I think it was that last bit, I think.
I think it was. I shouldn't have given you a royal flush.
I shouldn't have poked her. So,
Quadratic equations.
let's get on.
Alright. So, we met them before, and there are smiley and sad face graphs. The x squared.
But now, rather than saying form a quadratic equation, what happens if I say solve? It means like it did in linear equations, except now it's quadratic, so we bring in some new methods of finding x. So when you say solve, it means find the values of x, just like in linear.
It does. And just like in linear, we need an equation first.
Yes, so there's a few different methods, we'll try and go through all of them. If I give you the equation x squared plus 8x,
Okay.
how would you go about doing that?
Well, first I think I'd assume that equals 0.
Oh, it does.
Alright, thank you.
I'll let you know.
Then we need to factorise it. So we need to take out things that are common for both of them. And that's an x.
It is. So x
X on the
is
outside
x
of it.
squared.
Yeah.
So you have a bracket, as you normally do, but just the one. This is just the one method.
Yeah.
What would you have to times x by to get x squared?
Another x. And 8 times by x is 8x.
So you just put an 8. And that would be factorised, so then you'd make that equal to 0. Now the step beyond that, this solve, means you then have to use this information to find out what x is rather than just leaving it in this form.
Yeah, and for it to equal 0, x can be two things.
Yes.
So if anything times by 0 is 0, so if x was 0, this would be 0.
Yep, so x could equal 0.
We could equal two things. It could also equal, what would make this half equal to 0?
I'd say that x plus 8 equals 0, but that's not finished.
No, so then x, if you take 8 on the other side, equals minus 8. Then that half would equal 0, then it would equal all 0.
So these are the two values. Now the difference is this word solve. If it says factorise,
Just
you
do that
just
bit.
factorise it. If it says solve, you have to find the values of x, whether they be 2 or just the 1.
Absolutely. And like before, it doesn't just have one bracket, sometimes
It
you
might
have two. So, I got my black pen, there it is. So, have you got one prepared, or shall I?
I do,
Oh,
I
I've
do.
got
I'm
one prepared.
thinking of
Alright.
one, right,
Okay.
x squared
Mm.
plus 7x plus 10 equals 0. So you want two numbers that times together to equal this number and add together to equal this number.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have the two brackets with an x at the beginning of
Yeah.
each. That's how you get your x squared.
And two numbers that times together to make 10. I think the best way to do it is think about the first number. So we got 1 and 10.
If you add them together, that will equal 11, or if you minus them, it would be 9.
So that's
9
not
is
that.
7.
Then we got 2 and 5.
And if you add them together, it happens to make this wonderful 7.
It does. So they are our two numbers. They're both positive in this example. So we have plus 5 and plus 2. Now we still need to do what we did in the last one.
Yes, because this is factorising. If it says factorise, you're golden with this. If it says solve, you then make this equal to 0 and do the following steps.
So you need to make it equal to 0. So like in this one, we made x plus 8 equals 0. We have to do that for each of these brackets. So first, x plus 5 equals 0. And then x plus 2 equals 0.
So we give you two separate answers,
And this will give you x equals minus 5,
or
x equals minus 2. Now, a fast way to do this is just to know that it's the opposite sign
that's right,
and that it equals the x, but you can do it in full if you want to every time.
yeah. And the reason for that is, if x is minus 5, then minus 5 plus 5 equals 0. That times by that bracket will equal 0. So that's
Yeah.
why we do it, just in case you're wondering.
Like in the other one before. And yeah,
That's about as hard as it's going to get.
there it is.
Only thing they can do harder is something like they might say 5x lots of x plus 1 equals 2x plus 2. And then you've got to expand this and get it all onto one side and make it equal to 0
Before you do
before
anything
doing
else.
the next steps.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that because I made this up on the top of my head. Chances are it will come up with horrific fractions. You'll be dealing with nice numbers
Yeah,
in these
they'll
examples.
check they work when they put you in the exam. And that's about where it goes. They might mess around a bit with pluses and minuses.
Yep, so just be sure that the numbers times together to equal that number and add together to equal that number. Remembering
Yeah.
two minuses times together equals a plus.
Yeah.
So if this was minus 7, then minus 2 times minus 5
Yeah.
equals 10. Hang on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Minus 2 minus 5 equals minus 7. Each of these would be minus, so the answers would be plus.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing they could do that's difficult there.
Absolutely, and I think that's pretty much all of quadratic equations, isn't it?
However, there's stuff called completing the square.
We need to
so
get onto
we need to
that.
get onto that.
I think we should complete a square around ourselves. We can hide from Mr. Sir Lord Hawkenstein.
Who is there? Oh!